Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Level Up Your SaaS channel. I have with me a very special guest to me. This is Jacob Radcliffe. He has taught me so much. Pro tip that he taught me is multiple Chrome tabs. Changed my life. So anyway, he is here to talk to us about his suite of tools that are in the marketplace. But if you haven't met me yet, my name is Jenna Lettingham. I own an agency and a SaaS company, and then my husband owns a service-based business. Been marketing for 10 years now. So I really loved to talk about all things marketing and local businesses. But I will hand the floor off to Jacob now, and I'm really excited to have him here.
I appreciate you for having me. My name is Jacob Radcliffe. I run three companies. I also have a 3-year-old daughter and a wife, and so I'm also in Jenna's boat that I'm just busy, and also she stays with me at home, which is awesome. So I was in the military for 9 years, got out, and also was a teacher. So I was a teacher for I was a teacher for 3 years, which is so funny. Um, and so I got a chance to kind of learn a lot about just educating and teaching people how to use technology from the little ones and also the adults. While I was in the military, I was in technology, did missile defense, I did system and network administration in the military. And so all those skills were kind of a really good lead up into what I do with high level now. Because one day I was a teacher, I was on my break, I was in my feed, and I see something about high level in my feed from my cousin. I'm like, oh, what is that? And he goes, oh, this is high level. And so the moment that I figured out what it was, I instantly signed up for it. I had to explore this and figure out what this product was. And so everybody that's had that moment knows that it's just like this big downhill. Like you have to just rabbit hole it and learn the technology. And so it got to the point as a contractor, I would do contract work on my lunch breaks. I would do contract work after I got off work for 4 or 5 hours. I was just absolutely inundated. And then I decided that as I was doing contract work, that I needed more tooling. I needed more ability to do the integrations work and custom automations work. And so I naturally started building my own internal tools. And then one day someone saw the tools and they're like, why are you not selling that? I'm like, well, I never thought of it that way. I'm like, okay. So I decided to start selling all the low code tools that I built. And so I built a custom app for Zapier, and then I built a custom app for Make, and then I leaned into Pabbly and some of these other low code technologies. And all of them were just to try to help me make money as a contractor, and to try to get my income up to my dream levels, which I think everybody's dream level when you have a salary job is like, I just want to make $10,000 a month. If I make $10,000 a month, I'm out of here. I'm done. And then when I achieved that, I realized I'm working a salary job and I have that, and I gotta pick one or the other, right? So I decided that I was like, I'm gonna pick high level. I finished out my school year, and ever since I made that decision, everything just completely changed in my life financially. Um, it was awesome. I could be at home with my kid. I could, go out and paddleboard in the ocean and have the lifestyle that I wanted to have. And then what was great was the tools that I built for people also changed people's lives too, because it made people's lives easier to be able to do the kind of custom work. So it would make the lives of marketing agencies easier because they didn't have to go hire some guy from overseas that they don't trust. They could DIY it themselves, so they could learn enough to DIY it themselves. They could also get a team member that they trust on their team to learn it and kind of grow in their skill sets and not have to pay all kinds of money. And so that was where it kind of evolved, that I kept the prices super low because it was more like giving back, right? I could have sold it for all kinds of crazy prices, but I kept my prices on my apps low because I just wanted to not just be a competitive product in the marketplace for integrations and automations work, but just because I wanted to make sure that people could access it at all levels and stages of their high level journey, right? And so today, I guess if you want me to, I can give a quick demo and kind of showcase like what it is, what it does, and just some things that I've done with the apps. But I'll just pull up my browser. So my favorite one, I don't know if you have a favorite, Jenna, with your automations stuff. I'm a big fan of Make. Are you a fan of like Zapier or Make?
I just know more about Zapier, and I haven't played with Make a whole lot yet.
Yeah, Make, just for the audience's purposes, is kind of like Zapier, but it's horizontal instead of vertical, right? So instead of like adding actions from the top down, you're adding them from the left to the right. So you would do something like a webhook in from wherever you're
I
coming
don't know why, but
from.
that feels weird to me.
It is weird, but what's cool is like um once you do these sort of actions, it's bubbles, right? And so
Yeah.
a little background too, because I was a teacher, I taught kindergarten through fifth grade. I taught technology to little kids. So the puzzle piece is a little bit of a joke because we used to have these like puzzle piece coding where the kids would literally click the little programming pieces together. And so I thought it was really funny that they had an adult version of it, which is what this is, right? And
I love
so
it.
that's where that all came from. But but yeah, so this is like a scenario or a zap on the Make product. The reason I like this product over Zapier is that you have the ability to build teams right out the gate. So if you want to add lots of team members, you're not paying a higher subscription for that. I am a partner of Make, so I have a little bit of like maybe like a little more umph to my recommendation for this product. But I really love the team. They're based in the Czech Republic, but they have a worldwide team that is that I've never had problems with the product failing just in the background, which is an incredible testament to what the product is. But um, what's cool is that you can really craft and build kind of like how marketers think, right? So if you are thinking about funnels and steps and processes and you're like a steps and oriented type person, you could build those things. So the same way high level has the ability to do routing and steps, we can take things down different paths, path A or path B. We can apply filtering to try to set things up to go down different things based on conditions, right? And so with these, we create a lot of different just solving problems between getting data between point A and point B. But then it also gives a lot of creativity, right? So let's say that a brand new AI service comes out and we want to leverage that AI service's capabilities. We could hook out of high level or another CRM product. We could then go to that AI driven product. Let's just use OpenAI just as sort of a visual. And we'll just use like an image generator. And then maybe we want to bring it back into high level when we're done. So it makes it to where it's this really flexible product at the end of the day that we can do so much with it in terms of how we could then add value to our clients. So if we wanted to turn around and generate an image to then put a landing page, we could do that. We could use it to build entire websites with AI. So I set up a scenario for a guy one time. He said, here's 50 custom values. I want to generate an image with this prompt for the landscaping businesses and be themed, right? For
Mhm.
certain things. So that's newly, freshly generated images and freshly generated copy for the entire web page. So he
Nice.
would build these incredible templates with custom values everywhere, all over the whole thing. He would run one scenario with like 50 steps in it,
Hmm.
and he'd have this incredible like web page with like a fully built out. And then
Wow.
he'd go get a new client. So instead of worrying about developers and writing custom copy or
Hmm.
even going in the interface itself and trying to like make a prompt, generate some text, putting it in, make a prompt, generate some text and putting it in. He templated the entire build in a way that was just so innovative and it just blew my mind. And there are so many use cases like that emerge once you realize the capabilities of something like this, that turns into like an art canvas, right?
Yeah.
So some people paint with their paintbrush, some people paint with this tool, right? And so that's kind of how I look at it is, how can you use this in a creative way? Um, some of the most popular use cases of the apps that I kind of work with people to solve are predominantly a lot of onboarding type situations where you're filling in information, just like we had used like with the AI example. And so we would, of course, save those into custom values. I do have multiple applications on the Make platform. So I have a couple different ones I'm going to showcase today to give you an idea of what they do. So Curated Connector is the sub account level app, right? Meaning that you can do all the basic things like creating a contact, uploading files. You can do um, anything related to opportunities. And you can even do things that you can't do with inside high level. And so I think this is the thing that maybe will spark some interest from your viewers, Jenna, is that there are a lot of things with the service industry right now that you simply cannot do in the interface of high level. You maybe can generate the opportunities, but it's difficult to maybe go talk to some third party platform like Java or something else and try to sync the two, right? And so you could build some really custom things with Make to try to make these two systems talk to each other. So when an action happens in high level, we hook out, we pull that internal data, we pull the opportunities data, we send it to Java, right? Or when something happens in Java, we bring it back, right? So
Hmm.
that's one use case. Um, we also have some really cool instances where people are using the calendar system. So people that want to build custom chatbots on low code, which is still a thing. There's some really fantastic products like Closebot, Consolidata, you name it, they all do different things. What's cool about using this is that you're using the direct API. So you can kind of manipulate it and use OpenAI or Claude or whatever system you want to use for your own chatbot, your own custom thing. You can pull the free slots on a calendar. You can then turn around and book the calendar via API using these tools. Um, some additional things that I think are pretty valuable. One of my favorite things is being able to send messages. So you can add create conversations within high level, and then you can then add messages to the conversation. So when you're looking at high level's conversation window and we're talking to somebody on email or text message, we're adding messages to like kind of like a thread. With using the API, we can then do some really, really advanced use cases, meaning we can go to something like Instantly, right? Instantly is running off and doing like 20 or 30 email accounts and a reply comes in. Well, you could hop on Instantly and try to like chat over there, or we can come here and we can add the inbound message like this, and we can actually add it into the conversation screen of high level. And whichever messaging channel you want it to add into, it now drops into that conversation, and bloop, you got it on your phone. You can start chatting with that lead immediately so that you can take something as complex as cold email and bring it to a small business owner. And so
Nice.
they're just seeing the end result of the rainbow. They're not having to go off into some other system, or the marketer's not trying to like, email them the replies or some sort of weird thing. You just put it straight into the interface and make it really seamless. So this has been a really fun use case to see how people use the inbound messaging. And then the same thing too with the sending of a message. So you can use the Curated Connector app to send a new message. And so this would be on any particular channel that you would want to use, right? So all the different ones that you're able to do an outbound message on, you can send the message on here. So I've seen people use it for emailing. So you can even do AI based emailing. And this is not something a lot of people are doing right now, where a reply comes in and you respond back to the reply with an AI response. You can do that. So right now, there's not a lot of AI potential tools that are doing that.
Hmm.
But I think there's a use case for some businesses that maybe don't respond to inboxes and they want to talk to the lead and get them booked on an appointment, right?
Hmm.
Appointment based businesses, what are they really bad at, Jenna?
Yeah.
Picking up the phone, answering emails, all things customer service are
Oh
terrible.
yeah.
And for almost every appointment-based business are busy doing the appointments to do the thing that people are booking them for. And so um, this is a great way to replace the need for a secretary because it will do email and do all those things, right? And so the other applications in the suite of tools that I have, the Curated Admins app is for your agency actions. So if you are a 497 Pro account user, that is what this is about. This is the ability to do things like generating an access token, which is kind of like an API key. So if people that are watching this are savvy and they're techie and they understand what I'm talking about, each account within HighLevel has a unique access key, and this lets us dynamically generate that so that we can then do actions inside of accounts. That's the major use case of what this is for. What I use it for in my agency, which I also run a SaaS agency for the life and health insurance space, is we load snapshots. So I make custom snapshot stores for my clients. So they can go on there, they can click a button, it then loads the snapshot into their account, and they have all the stuff they ever wanted with a single button click. And so behind the scenes, we're submitting a form. We are using Make to load the snapshot into their account, and poof, it just shows up a few minutes later, which is a really cool thing for the client. And they're like, whoa, this is awesome.
Yeah. So the
Um,
use case there would be like, and if you don't want it in the SaaS configurator and you want to do some stuff first and then load in the snapshot when you're like, okay, we're ready to load the snapshot in,
yep.
and
And
then
I've
you do
built
it
it
through
for
here.
others where you do like a pay per snapshot model too. So you can maybe have like a global snapshot with a few things that are important to your just every account in your
Hmm.
agency. And then you make specialty snapshots for certain funnels or certain content that you want to deliver. It's a great funnel delivery system too,
Oh,
um,
cool.
to be able to load snapshots dynamically. And so there's also some people that fall into this boat where maybe they don't use Stripe and they're trying to work around that. Maybe they got banned on Stripe and they've been having some issues trying to deal with SaaS mode with HighLevel, and like how do you navigate that?
Yeah.
So the good news is this, that if you got kicked off Stripe, you do have some options, but the wallet system is currently all Stripe, right? There's no NMI, there's no authorized net for those other services as of July 2nd. In case people are watching this video months later, please bring us those options. But this allows you to do a lot of the SaaS features programmatically. And so this is really useful for people who are maybe making a landing page with a no credit card sign up, right? They're coming into the product with no credit card. Maybe they're just looking at some things in the CRM. They're not doing any messaging because you don't have a credit card on file, right? Um, but then maybe later on they want to enable SaaS mode and then request that. They want to request that card, right? You
Mm.
can do. Some people, Jenna, will have a subscription service with NMI and Authorize, or maybe some other really cool third party guys that have built integrations like Numeric. They will take their product and be the subscription, and then like if you got banned with Stripe, you start another Stripe account just for the wallet, right?
Mm.
And so you can have both. You can do both, and so
Right.
that's my recommendation for people who are in that boat, is to kind of explore these API endpoints and like what they can do for you. Users too. This is another really interesting one where I've seen people use it to like dynamically add, remove user permissions. If they have VAs in and out of accounts that they don't want to give access to everything, they'll try to programmatically add their sub accounts that they're authorized to access using that. So lots of really crazy advanced things. And of course, like for developers, I'm a developer, so I give them access to all the tools that they can just do blanket API calls and just to do just about anything. And so some people are also exploring this really cool new thing for like white labeled integration providers, which is what that means is like payment processing type things. Like if you want to build your own payment integration, this could be something where you could do your own in-house version of that. Like maybe you want to white label NMI, or you want to white label authorize.net, and have maybe even an agreement with one of those providers to make money as a SaaS owner, definitely research that. It's a great way to make money for certain industries is those providers. And this is a super easy thing to build and work with. Um, so that is the Curated admin. The last thing I'll show just briefly is I do have like a specialty app for SMS. It's a little bit different than my other applications. We work with currently with Cellcast. We work with Arbisoft, which is a SIM card um, platform, SMS2, and a couple of others. And this is like a very special app to be able to actually swap out the provider entirely. So you can, instead of using Twilio, which is super expensive for text messaging, you could use Telnix, which is half the price. You could use any provider you want with this app, or you can use some of the pre-built modules here. If you're into the funny SIM card game and using SIM cards and cell phones, you can do that. This is like, if you got to be almost a developer to build this, but it does work. And but yeah, this is some of the other ones that are just sort of baked into that. And so that's just the tools on Make. So I don't want to, it would take hours to explain everything, all the different products and services, different things that come with curated apps and like what I deliver. But what I did is I took all those on each platform that I built, put it all into a subscription service, and people can have unlimited access to all of it just for $97 a month. And so you use as much as or as little as you want. You can just pay one time for an app, $49 for just a single connection, or $97 for the admin app. Like I make it real flexible where people just get the tools they need to do the job that they have a use case for. And it's worked really well. It's worked great for me, Jenna, because I've been able to get introduced to lots of different people in the space,
Yeah.
build lots of different projects and different things, and integrate with services that we never would have thought about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another part I wanted to kind of just showcase today too, was like, it's not just like the low code apps. I do other type work too with Curated. Like I do actual marketplace apps as well. So I'm going to show you is, let me see if I can find, whoops, hold on one second. Let me go find an example of another thing I'm up to. Leave on this
And so
one.
essentially you guys are a lot like the HL Pro Tools like Zapier thing that they have, the app
Well,
that they have.
yeah, I mean, I
It's a
haven't
lot
seen.
similar. That's in Zapier, yours is in Make, and I don't know if they call theirs like apps, but very very similar, right?
Well, I mean, ultimately, they're all hitting the same endpoints and actions.
Right.
I think for some of the people that are watching that are sort of the DIYers that obviously you can go and kind of build your own on that thing. The amount of hours, just to give you a perspective, probably about 4 or 5 months worth of nonstop development just for one platform to get
Wow.
to where it was. And a lot of that is a lot of custom coding to make it more functional and usable within the platform. So when you see apps like HL Pro Tools or you see apps like mine, it's an incredible amount of hours
Yeah.
to produce like an easy to use application. And so we all kind of put our own twist on it. Like they have like custom stuff. I have custom stuff in Zapier that you'll never see elsewhere too, like for custom routing. But I also do marketplace actions too. So for example, um, if you were to go to the app marketplace, there's a bunch of different ones. The pink puzzle piece, you're going to start seeing more of that here shortly. I'm just going to put my puzzle piece picture on everything. But I do apps like Spin Tax is one of the ones that I have currently in the marketplace. And what's cool about these, for people that are watching this that may not know what this is the app marketplace within HighLevel where people can build apps and also sell the apps within the marketplace. And so this is just sort of a proof of concept app that I built, and it turned out to be like one of the number one installs of the entire marketplace.
Wow.
HighLevel's probably going to build it and replace my app at some point because you know how it is when people see something that they want that they don't want to pay for. the software companies are probably going to turn around and just build it themselves just because people upvote it on the board. I don't really care because I knew that that would happen anyways. I just wanted to build a proof of concept app that would be a showcase for others, and also to show prospects when I build apps for companies like, hey, like, this is the whole process, right? Because I originally had built this spin tax for some real estate companies, and what it does is it rotates the word. So popular software like Instantly and some other ones, it would pick one of the three words in this thing and it would rotate through a sentence. So you could have thousands of variations. So instead of using AI, you have a much more tightly controlled sentences to be able to rotate the words in a sentence. And so that's just like one example of a marketplace app. And I have others, of course, that well, I'll be publishing soon. But one I wanted to show today that I just finished was a company called Phone Validator. And this is something that's really cool for a lot of reasons. So HighLevel has a phone validation service that is basically baked into the product. So when you send out a text message, it makes sure that it's a valid number. Great, fantastic. But what about if they're in custom fields? Or what if you have like a multiple phone numbers that you wanted to check? This would be a good tool to do that, where you can basically take the marketplace action, run it through their validation service. But a really cool use case that I came up with when I was working with the owner of this company was to check if something is a mobile phone or like a landline,
Yeah.
and to detect if it's a VoIP number. So,
Hmm.
say for example, Jenna, you have a list of businesses and you have 1,000 businesses. You run all 1,000 businesses through this validation service, and you see of 1,000 businesses, um, let's say only 100 of them are using a mobile phone or a landline. The rest of them are using a VoIP number. Well, if you're trying to sell them on the LC phone system or Twilio with HighLevel, maybe you use this to try to help find people that are not using VoIP that
Hmm.
could benefit from the LC phone system, right?
Very cool.
You
Yeah.
run it through here, and you'll be able to quickly report back if if it's a mobile phone number. So I think that's a really interesting use case of scrubbing data and finding clients. And then before you ever get on the phone, you're like, hey, look, I see you're using a mobile phone, but what if I told you you could replace that with a number that we can do missed call text back, right? So it's just a really good lead in to a conversation with people that you would be able to detect what kind of device they're on. So
Cool.
that's Phone Validator. That's the service. And so, of course, I'll have some credit that I can share if people are interested in trying out the service for free. I think I'll get with you, Jenna, to put maybe in the description of the video some free credit to try this service. And so this is a free app in the marketplace currently.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So yeah, that is Curated in a nutshell. It's a consulting company, it's a apps company. Um, I'm not doing as much custom build projects as I used to because I am a SaaS owner on track to getting a SaaSpreneur award. And I think a lot of my custom development work is very focused on my personal SaaS right now, and like
Yeah.
just decking that out to the gills with everything that you can even imagine from the automations front. The kind of stuff I'm doing in that SaaS, though, that I think correlates to what I'm talking about today is that I'm heavily leaning into tech like ClickUp and project management, task management, and how do I blend the need for automations with manual reviews and actions. And I think you could attest to this, Jenna, that sometimes over automating, which is my strong suit is automations, sometimes means that you look at things less, right?
Yeah.
And I've actually had to learn how to pull back, and sometimes like the pen and paper, and like you got to like remember where you came from before you started, and you're like,
Hmm.
okay, before I had all these tools, like I may have not been so organized in my personal life. Maybe I need to like I need to remember that I need to go manually review things. So I originally built out all my SaaS like this insanely automated, crazy system. And then I went back in time. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not even looking at this Google sheet. I'm not even
Mhm.
looking at this. What what can I do to fix that? And so, I'm actually dialed it back down. I made it to where I would have meetings every day. We would manually click things and review things instead of like firing off tags and like doing all this fun automation stuff. And ever since I made that change, things have gotten better, and I've been able to do more as a SaaS owner, and have better call meetings and conversations. So I definitely encourage people who are builders and like hardcore automators with high level to pause and remember to bake a few times in when you need to look at something. Like, you don't just show up and it's all there. Like, make a few manual steps to force yourself to take action on things.
Yeah, and we always have to remember this, we're in a people business too. Like even though we're in such a like a tech field, at the end of the day, our customers have to remember us and remember that and we have to remember that we're serving them. And like whether it be through an affiliate that I'm working for or one of my sub accounts that I'm working for, these are people and they're serving people. And so whatever we can do to help them is helpful for us, and we need to like still put that personal touch into everything we do. I think that's so important. I'm glad you highlighted on that.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily like lean into like what I'm doing with my SaaS and like how far it's
Yeah.
come along, but like I mean, this business is very life-changing in a lot of
Yes.
ways. Good ways, bad ways,
Hmm.
positives, negatives, but ultimately the positives far outweigh the negatives. And I think that there's no other business that you can run that's more scalable and more automated than this business. There's no other software product that has as much tooling and abilities as this. And so I would just encourage the folks that are out there that are watching and they're like, I can't wait to just build my empire and like, oh, like get in here and like do the 1,000 hours, right? And be the superstar ninja, like automations nerd person. My first thing I would tell you is stop everything you're doing and find a client.
Yes.
Do
Stop
not build
building, start
another day.
selling.
Stop building. Don't buy my tools. Don't buy anything else. Stop what you're doing. Remember who you're serving. If you don't have a customer to serve, then you're building a nest. And I wrote a long post about this a long time ago about building a nest and like being like nesting concept where you're just like constantly adding little twigs to to your nest and just building and building and building and building. And it feels good because it's satisfying a certain part of your brain. You're like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. Look what this does, and it's so awesome. And then like 3 months later, you don't have a client, and you're like, oh man, what do I do? And what's hilarious is that the moment that happens, you start to get clients, and all that stuff you built, you never use it.
Yeah.
And so I'm very guilty of it. I know everybody I've met has probably launched at least 5 or 6 versions of their SaaS that flopped before they found one that would work for them, and different niches that they tried. And so that's part of the process too. Like, your people that are watching this are probably like shaking their head like, oh my gosh, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. But it's true, because when you run this product, the ideas in your brain do not always translate into what people want to buy. And
Hmm.
like, it's actually the little things. Like, Sean Clark will repeatedly hammer out the idea of just miscalled text back. Like, stop. High level is good enough right out the box. I promise you, high level is so good right out the box. You could go to a local business owner and set up miscalled text back, and they will love you forever. You don't need
Hmm.
all the everything else, even the chat bots and all the fun stuff that are great value adds and can build calendars, like that are just incredible icing on the cake. I think that marketers have it in their mind that they see all these folks that they're trying to compete with, right?
Yeah.
That they're impossible to compete with. Look how big this company is. They got ads out the yin yang. I can't compete with this. Like, they see these huge CRMs. Like, I have huge competitors in my space, huge competitors in the life and health insurance space. I don't worry about them at all. They write negative articles about my SaaS. They do all this stuff that doesn't bother me. In fact, I actually got customers from those things because and so I would say that just focus on you, focus on what you know wins, what's a winning solution. And you're going to know what a winning solution looks like when you have a client that tells you this is working. And it's like you see the results, you see the leads coming in, you see the booked appointments, you see the closed things happening. And if you're too concerned about building a nest, then you won't have anybody to put in the nest. And so I
Yes.
think the moment that I would actually encourage people, if you're on the fence about high level, like sign up with someone like Jenna, because at least Jenna has been through this. She knows, right? She knows what she's doing with high level. She's run it. She's got a good bit of customers at this point, a lot, and honestly. And I think that you need to learn from somebody that is in the space that knows what they're doing. Like
Hmm.
learn how the software works, how you can leverage it, um, what a good niche is. I think that's the hardest thing is like, what niche do I pick? Who do I serve? Like, I didn't know anything about the space, but I partnered with my cousin, which is funny. And 2 years later we ended up partnering together, and had a ton of knowledge in the niche, right? So I leveraged his skills to and then he leverages mine, right? And so if you are in that position where you're having a hard time, but maybe you're a superstar on the integrations and the automations and like that, find somebody else that's the polar opposite of you to partner with. The sales, the operations guy, the super marketer, the advertiser, because I didn't have advertising skills and he did. So
Yeah.
we joined forces, and like it's been good. And so I
Yeah.
think that you got to find the yin to your yang sometimes if you don't have all those skills.
Yeah.
Or at a minimum, humble yourself to just find a client and be willing to make mistakes in front of them and work for free. Because in my first, and I think you probably know this well, Jenna, your first client, you're going to do 10 times as much work for them, and you don't know, there's no such thing as boundaries. There's no such
Yeah.
thing as I can't hop on the Zoom for you. There's no such thing as not taking calls at ridiculous hours. They're going to eat and gobble your time almost as a way to like proving grounds of marketing, right? And like
Hmm.
eventually you'll get to the point where you recognize what your skills are, what your offer is. When your clients push the boundaries, you're going to know when to pull back, you're going to know when to do those things. But that comes once you have enough clients to know those things. So I do
Hmm.
think that people have to be willing, if they're going to come into this space, to find where they fit in, find enough clients to learn the space, humble themselves to work for free, to work for agencies or to work for direct, clients doing work for free. That's going to give you the skills, give you the confidence you need to turn around and build the solution for another person just like them.
Yeah.
And until you do that, you shouldn't be trying to buy all the tools and buy all the things and buy all
Hmm.
the like masterminds and all the stuff. You got to focus on those little things, and the moment you do that, your whole world will change. And
Yes.
so I don't know if have you had a similar experience like that with Jenna, with what you've been through?
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, yes, you have to set boundaries with clients, and but at the same time, when you're first starting, finding what you like and what you're niche like, and you don't even have to necessarily niche down on a product or on a specific industry, but maybe you can niche down on a product. So maybe that's missed call text back, maybe that's reputation management for you. But I encourage you to do one or maybe the other. It's very hard to, I think, me personally, have found it hard to niche down on locality. It's just harder to scale. So that's really what I'd encourage everybody to do, either niche down on what you're doing, so make a recipe book, or niche down on like the people that you serve. So like pick one, but like doing locality is really hard because they're each different. They each have different problems, etc. So it is easier I think the one thing that's easier about it is it's easier to get them to know, like, and trust you because you're there and they can meet you in person. So I think that's the one thing. I think for me, sales is easier in locality, but it's harder for scaling. So that's I think the easiest way for me to explain like those things that I've learned the hard way. But I love how you brought up that. So that's something that Matt Decino talks a lot about is the integrator and the visionary and how important it is to have one that you're not. Um, and finding one to somebody to complement you is really nice to have. Um, and yeah, so I think that's really important too for scaling purposes and also just finding somebody on your team if you haven't found that other person yet that can complement you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a partner at the stage, but maybe just a VA or another person on your team who has those skills, those roles that aren't the same as you, so you're not clashing. So I love that you brought that up. Well,
For
to
sure.
recap this episode, Jacob, where can people find more? It's in the marketplace, and then I'll drop the link on the YouTube video and in the emails for the sign up. Is there anything else anybody should know?
You know, I want to end on the note of positivity breeds positivity, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That with everything that you do, if you and what's I'm gonna tell you a quick crazy story that my one of my best friends from high school, he used to work for Merrill Lynch and had an amazing career, making tons of money from Merrill Lynch. He called me up out of the blue and he said, Jacob, guess what? And I'm like, what? I'm going to sell high level. And it blew my mind. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He goes, yeah, I quit my job. I'm like, yeah, man, I quit my job too. And he's like, well, I'm going to be a high ticket closer. And I'm like, oh, so okay, that's so cool. And so I think that there's a lot of interest in this space, but you got to keep the train going on that high positivity train. It's so easy to fall off the train and be negative and like
Yeah.
if sales are up or sales are down. Even if sales are up, sometimes the level of scale that you're at is so intense and
Hmm.
there's so many new customers that you find all kinds of new problems like
Yes.
that you never had before. You're like the level of like me that I was giving away my time, I can't do that anymore up here. I got to be like the managerial. I got to like hire more people to
Hmm.
be me in my other businesses, and it creates these new problems. And like then some people are living up here and they're not willing to humble themselves to be the guy down here when they're starting. And I think this is what I see a lot of, Jenna, that they're up here, they want to command a large team from the get-go, but they don't have the knowledge of high level. They don't even know what they're selling
Yeah.
to go turn around and like pitch it to somebody. And so I would encourage everybody to watch a lot of content like Jenna and other content on high level to know what you're selling and then positively go out there and go crush it. Go find a bunch of clients. Go make mistakes. Go like make a fool of yourself in front of clients and like just look stupid like with the software breaking and things going wrong. Like be willing to humble yourself to then get to this growth stage, right? Because everybody wants to run a SaaS and be this super guy up here and be the ones that they promote in the mastermind, and you can do it, but you got to be down here. You got to humble yourself to get to this point up here. So that's what I would love to end on.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Jacob, so much. And thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Jenna.